What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fishing GrubbZ. Today we're going to go over our top 5 tips and tricks on how to get big bass at night. Let's get into it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, coming in at number 5, one of the things that comes up quite a bit when we're talking about night fishing is, should you have your light on or should you have it off? Truthfully, I'm not 100% sure what's right and what's wrong. I just know what I feel comfortable with. Two of the people that taught me most everything I know about night fishing, they both say that having their light on and having their light off haven't made a huge difference. When they're at bodies of water that are bigger, they tend to leave their light on all the time, especially my buddy Tosti. He said whenever he goes to Massabesic or any of the bigger lakes, he'll leave his headlamp on the entire time he's on a kayak, and I totally get that. Personally, I leave my headlamp off at all times. I've had strikes so close to the boat numerous times at night that I just feel so much more comfortable when I just fully immerse myself in the darkness. So personally, what I like to do is when I'm looking at the shoreline, if I'm trying to pinpoint a location where I want my bait and I'm not sure what's going on in front of me, whether there's a weed line or not, I'll turn my light on for a second. Sometimes I'll even turn it on, cast, watch the lure hit, and then on the retrieve I always turn my light off. Always. So that's just something I like to do. If you yourself like to leave your light on, please in the comments below let me know that you leave your light on and let me know why. Let everybody else know why too. These are my top 5 tips and tricks. This is what I do. I'm still, a fairly new angler here, and I just have the best luck at night. So that's what I feel the most comfortable talking about, because I know a lot of people out there do not do night fishing and are not comfortable with it. I feel like it's my favorite type of fishing at this point. I absolutely love it. I love being out there. Something about not being able to see very well and catching a giant fish adds a whole nother element to it. Number 5, light on or off. For me, 110%, I'm going with off. If it's on for you, please, in the comments below, let me know why. Alright, let's get into number 4. Number 4 in the countdown, I really have to talk about one of the most important things to me with fishing at night, and that is sound and vibration being absolutely everything. 99.9% of the time when I'm fishing at night, I'm fishing top water. And to me, what I'm throwing, I really want to mimic what's going on outside. So if it's super noisy out, I want to throw a bait that is super noisy. If it's completely still and there's not a bird chirping or a bug to be heard anywhere, I want to go with something that's a little more subtle. That all was told to me by my old boss, who is a big swim bait thrower. That's literally all he does, and so I picked his brain quite a bit, and that was one of the big things that he used to try and drive home was, match your surroundings. And so at night, when you're matching your surroundings, really the one thing you have more than anything is sound and vibration. That is how the bass are hunting at night. It's not like they can see very well to begin with, never mind at night. So here's the thing. I've had times out there where it's been really quiet and I'll throw the MS Slammer and I get destroyed. And it's freaking fantastic. That's one of the baits I like to use in those moments, because the knock is not super loud. It creates a big wake, but it's subtle in sound. That being said, the wind kicks up just a little bit, or even a lot of bit sometimes. as it did the last time I was out. If the wind kicks up, if there's birds and tons of noise, crap running around in the trees especially. I love hearing squirrels and rodents around, chipmunks and rats, and then I'll throw the rat. For me, that's like my number one when there's, you know, a lot of sound and stuff going on. Well, there was one night actually when I was out with Chris, Mr. Tightlines, we'll have him linked up above and down below, of course. I was out with Chris and it was absolutely ridiculous. The rain was coming down, it was thunder and lightning starting to roll in pretty hard. It was super noisy out, wasn't too windy.
Chris here just caught his very first night fish. The sun literally just disappeared, like we barely have any light. And of course, it's on the BBZ rat. Not a giant yet.
No, but it's a pretty good fish. I thought it was tiny. Thought it was itty bitty. But instead, we have a little mini chunk to be.
Nice fish, Chris. Here.
Nice little tank to be here.
Awesome fish, Chris. Way to start the night off, dude.
Hell yeah, man. Excellent.
Frickin' sweet.
We good for release? Thanks, bud. You mean a lot to me. More than you know.
This place also, where we were fishing, every night that I go out there, I see tons of bats. Well, Chris took his Savage Gear rat and started. Chris took his Savage Gear bat and started throwing this thing.
So, not only have I caught my first night fish, which is freaking awesome. Thanks, Todd. Amazing feeling to not see the bait and then you're hearing it and it's like, and it was a good fish. That's cool. I have the rest of the night to prove this one bait to myself, to anyone else. This is the Savage Gear bat, the 3D bat. It is the very big one, brown version. I'm very confident in this bait. It sounds like the BBZ rat in the tonal qualities of the knock, and it has a heck of a like a walking motion on top. And bats have been flying by our head already. I think it's gonna get smashed. I got all night to prove it, and I'm gonna throw this non-stop. Check it out.
This bait is crazy loud, way louder than the rat. And during this period of time where it was like the craziest outside weather-wise, that was the only thing that got hit.
This is unbelievable. Chris just got his first fish on the Savage Gear bat.
Seems like a tank, good 3.5. Nice fish. Yes.
What a fight, too.
Yes, one hell of a fight. Just got slammed twice just before this. Talk about building some confidence in a bait. I am now confident with this bait.
More than that, this is your first fish in actual darkness.
Yes. Yes.
Two blow-ups. This was the second cast out in the same spot where he had a blow-up. Let's see that fish. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Let's get a quick weight.
Get him out of here.
Fish.
Woo!
Thank you. Yes.
So Chris got this a couple awesome fish on this crazy ass bat, and then it started to downpour so hard, and the thunder and lightning were so close that we took the boat and we went straight back to the launch, and we sat in the car for about an hour. It was ridiculous. Then after that, we actually left all of the camera gear in the car just in case there was any chance of that crazy crap happening again. But we had a hell of a night. Now, it calmed down a ton. It got quieter, and the bat didn't get hit anymore. And then, you know, since it, you know, was still a little bit loud out, you know, loud enough for me to, you know, want to throw the rat, I started throwing the rat, caught a bunch of fish on that, and then I switched over to the Buka bull shad, which is, again, just as loud as the rat, but that thing just has a little bit smaller of a profile. I was throwing the bone-colored bull shad, 4x4, and I was getting them on the top of the water and cranking them down a little bit for my first time ever doing that. That night was freaking amazing. And another time where I was out at a local pond super close to my house with my buddy Zach, and it was the 4th of July weekend, I believe. We went out. It was freaking packed with people, like absolutely everywhere, going nuts. Right when the sun went down, I thought everything was going to get quiet. There was still a ton of traffic on the water. This is a small body of water, by the way. And then all of a sudden, freaking fireworks, like you wouldn't believe, until a little after the quiet hour, pretty much. We did not get touched during that whole span of time. And almost as soon as the fireworks went out, Zach caught an awesome fish on his joker. Now the joker, this bait is super, super loud. This bait is pretty much as loud as the bat, if not a little bit louder. The knock is unbelievable. It's got a big rattle in it, and it's huge. That bait is freaking huge, and this bass just destroyed it. That's after all the noise, racket, and craziness. So, you know, there's been numerous times where using a louder bait has paid off. I remember when I was out with Dakota fishing our buddy Mark's pond down in Mass. That big fish, that 5-pounder that I caught on the rat that night, I was tossing the slammer because it was so quiet out. It's so calm and so still, but we were on a main road, so every freaking 2 minutes I couldn't hear my bait because this freaking car would be coming by like right in front of us, going like 50 miles an hour, and I was like, God damn, I'm putting the rat on, I can't hear a damn thing. I put the rat on, and a couple minutes later I'm holding another 5-pound bass. I mean, that's been how things have worked out. So sound and vibration is absolutely everything at night. You want something that you can hear if you're fishing topwater, and in my opinion, topwater is the only way to go at night. Why? Because it's freaking fun. And if you're out at night bass fishing, you're probably crazy like me. And I'm telling you right now, the biggest adrenaline rush there is fishing topwater when you can't see anything and all you're doing is listening. Like, I just throw the bait out there and I'm just like, I just put my ear, I don't even watch a damn thing. I just put my ear out and I listen. Click, 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 and all I want to hear is that. As soon as that bass smashes the thing, I just lean in and set the hook and hang on, man. It's the best. I mean, there's absolutely nothing like it. And that being said, I'm going to kind of go off subject for a second and out of this tips and tricks. Just to say, because I didn't have this on the list, but just to say, listen, if you think your water temperature is too cold for night fishing and, you know, the bass aren't going to hit top water at night, you got to think these fish live in the water, man. So I believe Ben Milligan said it last year when they were hitting top water really late in the season. These fish don't live in the air. I mean, that's so true. You need to think about what these fish are thinking. And, you know, the other night we went out, the water temperature was down to 49 degrees, and we caught every single fish of the night on the rat. Chris was throwing a chatterbait too, all night, and we caught every single fish on the BBC rat.
Oh, you on?
Yeah.
Yes. That was a good bite.
That was a huge fish.
That was a big bite. Yeah, bro.
Oh my God, that's a big fish.
All right, don't listen. We got this. My rat's right over there. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh
Here
my
he
God.
comes.
Dude.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
Oh God.
Here he comes.
Yeah.
Holy f***. Holy f***. Holy f***.
What a mouth.
Oh
Why
my
couldn't he
God.
have eaten more?
Oh my God.
Go get the spool.
Folks, look at the size of that fish.
Imagine if he had a big old friggin', I mean, he's pretty big, but imagine.
Oh,
Bro.
oh my God.
Sorry, dude.
Oh, yes, folks. So pumped about this fish.
Yeah, man.
So stoked.
That's an amazing fish.
On the freaking BBZ rat. We haven't even been out here long. We haven't even hit the good waters.
And that's because it was windy, it was loud, it was, you know, just one of those crazy nights that you don't think you're going to catch any fish on. And I caught a freaking Goliath, you know, almost 5-pound bass, 4.5 pounds. This thing was eating a little bit more. His head was freaking enormous. And he obviously was going for a big meal. But these bass, they see something like the rat, that huge profile, and it looks like a mammal. That's a warm meal on a super cold day. You gotta think, this bass is, if it's gonna put out the energy to attack something, it's gonna want that big meal. And that's what I'm trying to give it. It's the whole thing with these big baits and fishing these big baits is you just gotta throw them, because these fish are hungry. And the big ones are gonna just destroy those baits. And it's the most fun, in my opinion, that you can have out on the water. I absolutely love it. Top water doesn't turn off until that water is really cold and those fish have just like disappeared and gone deep. Because when one of those big fish see that big bait floating on the top of the water, they get freaking angry. Number 3. Alright folks, coming in at number 3, there's a big reason why we're putting this at number 3, and that reason is safety. Coming in at number 3, know your lake. If you're going night fishing, don't go to some lake you've never been to before. Unless you're a professional angler and you've been doing this your whole life, play it safe. Go to places that you go to regularly during the day. When you're fishing at night, knowing your lake is the number 3 tip. A lot of the places I go to get really shallow in certain areas. There's big boulders all over the place. If you don't know where to be careful and where to really pay attention to where you're going, you could really damage your boat. You could really hurt yourself. Another thing to add on to knowing your lake, I don't go to places where I need to actually use my outboard motor when I'm night fishing. I go to places where I use my trolling motor only the whole time. There's no sense in risking my life or a life of somebody that's hanging out with me just to go fishing. So keep that in mind. Know your lake, go to places you're familiar with, and freaking be careful when you're out there fishing at night. Number 2. Number 2 on the countdown for me is extremely important, and for me it's tough because I like to fish fast. But when you're fishing at night, and you're fishing top water, you gotta go slow. That is absolutely one of the most important things you have to remember. Slow the boat down and just drag those baits over the top of the water. You gotta give those fish time. They'll key in, man. They'll see that thing floating on the top of the water, and who knows how long they sit there and watch it. I don't know. But when they hit it so aggressively, most of the time. Every once in a while you'll get that slurp, that one that kind of just sneaks up and takes a peck at it, grabs it by the trebles and tries to run. But most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, those fish come flying out of the water for those baits. So move slow. Slow down to the point where you're almost uncomfortable. It's really tough for somebody like me. I'm jacked up. I want to be like, go, 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 go. I hate sitting in the same spot. I like to just move. That's just the way I like to fish. And at night, I like to just slow it down so much and just be methodical and hit every spot on the shoreline and just drag back to the boat. Some of my favorite spots at night are where there's some steep drop-offs where it's nice and shallow, drops off to like 10 to 15 feet, where I'm sitting with the boat and I can throw on shore, basically as close to shore as possible, and come back. If I run into spots where there's a ton of pads, I'll bust out a frog. Lately I've been digging the giant SPRO frog, or the sprinkler frog is a ton of fun fishing at night because it makes a ton of noise. It's like a whopper plopper that you can just toss into the weeds. So when you're out there fishing at night, remember, go slow, slow as you can, and just hit every little spot you see. Don't, trust me, don't just throw on shore at night. Throw out right in front of you and drag back. Throw out to the side, drag back. Throw out to the deep and come back. These fish are everywhere. If they see those topwater lures, they go nuts for them. This year there were freaking squirrels absolutely everywhere. We got some fat bass out there right now because of all the squirrels that have been swimming all over the top of the water this year. I don't know if you guys have seen that in your neck of the woods, but they've been freaking nutty here in New England. See what I did there? All right, folks, let's get to number one. Number one. So my top tip for you if you're going out at night, first of all, you got to be a dedicated, crazy fisherman like myself, just a little bit loopy, just a couple extra screws loose, because you're going out fishing for bass in the pitch black. You're just a little crazy. Here's my advice, my top tip, my numero uno. Go big or go home. Don't go out there throwing jigs. Like, people will tell you, oh, well, you know, jigs are good at night, and oh, chatterbaits are good at night, and oh, I like, you know, throwing, my buddy loves throwing big worms, and by all means, go and do that stuff. If you're catching fish and that's fun for you, go for it. But for me, I said it earlier, I'm gonna say it again, go big or go home. Throw big swim baits. You don't even have to get expensive ones. You don't have to go out and get $100, $200 swim bait. The BBZ Rat's 35 bucks. The big one, the 50. It's freaking huge. And these fish go batshit crazy. If I've proved anything this year on this channel, it's that freaking bait gets destroyed. It is easily my favorite thing to throw. I don't know why. It just, thanks to freaking Colby, this thing, it's a fish magnet. And I know there's others out there, and there's more that I'm gonna try, I promise. But it's just amazing. It was created by an amazing guy. I don't know if any of you know of Bill Simmental, the creator of the Rat. That gentleman, I mean, Bill's the man. That bait was designed to just get destroyed by big fish. If you're crazy enough to be going out at night, throw something big. Go have fun. Go search for freaking giants, because those big fish, they come out to eat at night. They're heavily pressured. That 6-pounder that I caught earlier this year at 12:30 at night down in Southern Mass, that was on a lake that gets hit every single weekend with a tournament. And I go out there at night in high winds. I didn't think I was even going to get a fish. And all of a sudden, I just got smoked by a freaking 6-pounder. That fish was so freaking huge. Listen, I'm telling you right now, night fishing, if you're crazy like me, you will absolutely love it. If you haven't done it yet, get your ass out to one of your favorite spots that you know very well. Get one of the biggest topwater baits you can possibly get your hands on, and go have yourself some fun. Ladies and gentlemen, Lila just woke up. So we're gonna try and wrap this up right now. Go big or go home. Go get yourself a big bait. Have some fun. I know most of you in the country still have plenty of time for night fishing. For us here, it's getting pretty close to ice fishing time, and it does slow down quite a bit. The earlier parts of the night now are going to be the best parts. After the sun's been out all day, get out and do some night fishing. Again, one other quick thing, I usually have my best luck during the full moon. So that's one more thing to remember. Full moon night fishing, you barely even need a light to see anything, and the fish come out to play. Also try the new moon. When there's no moon out, that's also a great time to get out there and use some louder baits to really draw those fish up. Bonus time. Alright folks, we do have a quick little bonus for you, and I hope you enjoy. I'm getting out of here. Lila's awake, but I'm going to leave you with this quick note. Make sure before you get out on the water for some night fishing, you get some rest. or you could end up like my good buddy, who was quite tuckered out by the morning time. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Fishing GrubbZ. If you like what you saw, do me a favor, hit that bell notification, smash the subscribe button, and let me know down below if you like night fishing, what baits you like to use. Also, if you haven't seen my top 5 night fishing baits video, we're going to leave that linked up above and down below. You're definitely going to want to check that out. I leave you with my sleeping friend while I'm catching some more fish in the morning after a night session. Get your rest, folks. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Fishing GrubbZ. Fish on!
Jared's sleeping. Oops. Nice. Another one. Another nice fish. Pretty sweet. Damn it, damn it. Oh, nice. Catch some fish. All on the wacky rig. Everything. Since the sun came up. The only thing I'm getting hit on. Oh, you got another fish. And we woke up Jared.